just get their qualifications in the existing higher education institutions? Can't they go to vocational training and get their qualifications there? It's quite a critical question. It reflects also of what was just shown in one of the polls. Is it necessary, or does it make sense to implement cooperative higher education in countries where it is not implemented yet? And with this question, I would like to welcome you. My name is Torge Fischer, and I have two jobs. I work at the Duale Hochschule Baden-Württemberg as head of international relations, and I also work as a managing director for Cooperative Education Consult, which is a company that was founded by DHBW. So it is a profitable company for consulting other countries on implementing dual or cooperative higher education. But it is owned by the university. Yes, nearly as the same institution as DHBW. Some of you might have heard of DHBW. I'll give a very brief overview. I'm not going to show all the figures of our institution. We're actually celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. So it was founded in 1974. At that time in two locations, Stuttgart and Mannheim. By now we are having 9 campuses all over the state of Baden-Württemberg. So it is a special institution, not only in the sense that it is a dual or cooperative education institution, but also that it is a multi-campus institution. So you can imagine that me working in the headquarters, we have to coordinate quite a lot between 9 campuses, which each of them are decentral institute or decentral members of our university, and we try to keep them as autonomous as possible, while at the same time, of course, looking for common ground and common programs, etc. As our institution, we have over 9,000 company partners. So they are our dual partners who are responsible for training our students, which are between 33 and 34,000 students. So we are quite a large institution if we count all 9 campuses together. And imagine that DHBW is not an institution where some students are studying dual programs. All of our students are studying in cooperative higher education. So there's a lot of words for a lot of similar things. If you look at this word cloud, you probably recognize a lot of those. I think there's a few distinctions that need to be taken. Distinction number 1 is between secondary and tertiary education. So when I talk about cooperative higher education, the second word is the key. It is higher education. It's not to be mingled with vocational or vocational training, artisan training, etc. It is for students who have completed their high school and who have a university, who could study at university or traditional universities as well. So it is on the tertiary education area. Then one very important aspect is to look at practical experiences versus on-the-job training that is integrated into the curriculum. I'll get to this point later on as well. There's a very big distinction between practical experiences that are not integrated into the curriculum and those that you will see in cooperative higher education, where every practical phase is an integrated part of our curriculum, where students get not only credits, but where the experience is aligned to the theoretical training. And the distinction number 3 is the level of cooperation with industry. So at DHBW, in cooperative higher education, you will see that companies have an influence on the development of the curriculum. And only with this company influence, you will make sure that the curriculum is always up to date towards what the industry is demanding. Here you see a matrix which is showing different institutions or different institution types in accordance to their academic competence and their employability. Of course, with academic competence is also based on duration and research focus of different degrees. And therefore, when you look at research universities, of course, they do get the highest academic competence on average. When you look at the average of the student body, you will have a lot of master students, a lot of PhD students, a lot of even postdocs, and this, of course, focuses a lot on academic competence. But if you look only on the bachelor degrees, they would probably only go into the second column as well. On the other axis, you will see employability. And employability is the suitability of qualification for work demanded by industry. So only with a high level of employability, graduates are really made for the job market. And this is something where traditional research universities lack quite a lot. So because of their academic competence, because of their high focus on theory, any job requires practical capabilities, practical experience. And this is something that research universities are not really capable of teaching due to their nature, not because they don't know what they're doing, but due to the nature of their systematic approach to theory and research, the employability is lower. If you take the other extreme, vocational training on secondary level, of course, employability is very high because students are already on the job. Yeah, they have been. If you take a young person who is aiming to be an electrician and is hired by a company, they will learn on the job. They will go to school during the vocational training, but the main part of what they're doing is working and learning on the job. So their employability is very high, while academic competence, of course, on secondary level is not very high. And in the middle pillar, we have University of Applied Sciences, who have quite a good compromise of employability and academic competence. And cooperative higher education tries to reach the same academic competence while scoring extremely high on employability. So whenever we talk cooperative higher education, employability is one of the key aspects that we advocate for and that we take as our gene when anything that we do, employability is thought about. So how is this the integration of academic learning and workplace training possible? If we look at the first two bullets here, we have theory and practice at DHBW. It is designed in a way that it's a 50% split of time. While if we look at the credits, we have a ratio of 150 to 60. So 150 ECTS in 3 years of training in theory. So 25 ECTS per semester. At the same, in each semester, students get 25 in theory, but they also get 10 ECTS in their practical phase. So during those 3 months at the partner company, they're not only working, then they are trained on the job and they are writing a project paper. And for this project paper, they're getting 10 ECTS. So if you count it together, you will see that students leaving or graduating from DHBW, they are actually accumulating 210 ECTS, which is more than students who are doing a bachelor program at a traditional university. This is mainly due to, well, if you see the academic calendar of our students, you see that it's quite intense. Students don't have semester breaks, really. They go from 3-month cycles between theory and practice, and it's a lot is demanded by the students, so they get some 30 ECTS more than other universities. An important aspect is the dual learning as an integrated curriculum. So our students are, like I said before, it's those practical reports and the practical phase that the students is doing at the company. The companies know how our theory is structured, and they try to do their best in placing the students in departments and giving them tasks that are associated with what the students have been learning in the theory phase prior to the practical phase. So it is not just, making copies and fixing some coffee for their superior, but it is, for example, if we have a business degree and the students have been learning marketing in their second semester, then most probably the practical phase will also be in the marketing department afterwards. So they have a chance to learn some theory and to apply exactly this kind of theory on the job in the practical phase in the corresponding semester. When the students are getting a degree after 3 years of dual education, they are able to go to work, and most of the time, over 80% of the students, they were getting a contract by the same company that they've been doing their degree with. So some important aspects that make sure that the practical phases are integrated into our curriculum and that the learning experience is a completely different learning experience than in a traditional university. First of all, there's a constant change of the learning environment. So students are shifting from theory to practice back and forth. And this is not only a diversified study program, but it's also motivating, it is activating. So students are keen to go back to work, and they're keen to come back to university. And they apply what they've learned on the job, and they reflect upon what they've done in the practical phases. Then you have to think about that classroom and job training, the way we design it, that they're complementing each other. Yes, so this it is not two things that run parallel, but it is two things that are interconnected, and where with the one experience in the practical phase can also complement the learning in the classroom and vice versa. That's the idea of cooperative higher education. Another aspects are that our practical phases are credit bearing, like I explained before, 10 ECTS per practical phase. Students are writing their project papers during the practical phase. So it's not a 100% practical phase, because due to this project paper, it is some time allowed to connect their practical experiences with their theoretical experiences as well. And another aspect is that 40% of our staff are experts from dual partner companies. So it is that out of those 9,000 companies, a lot of lecturers are coming from those companies who are doing a part-time, who are being part-time lecturers. And this way, it's also helping us to keep up to date with theory content that is needed or that is in demand by the companies. If you think about, probably most of you have been going to traditional universities and obtained a degree, or if bachelor, a master, or PhD from a traditional university. If you think about how many years of theoretical knowledge you've acquired in total before you ever put your foot into a company, that's let's do away with kindergarten. But if we count primary, secondary, and tertiary education, some of us would have accumulated something like 15, 20, even more years of theoretic knowledge. And I'm quite sure that nobody is able to keep to save all of this data in your heads if you never applied it. And that's what most people struggle with. So once we start as 25, 30-year-old people to work, we have to be trained again, right? It's pretty much impossible to just start your job and know what you have to do. And this is different in cooperative higher education because the students are already working in the company. So during their theoretical learning, during the higher education program, they're already working. They're already making these experiences. And they are doing this cycle 6 times during their 3-year study to go from concepts and theory to apply this knowledge into the practical experiences and then to reflect upon their observations in the companies when they go back to the classroom. Now, if we look at possibilities, I mean, it's often said that, okay, in Germany, of course, it works in Germany because it's been there for so long. And it builds upon a vocational training system that has been there forever. I think this remark is true, and it is of course not something that is like a given to just implement cooperative higher education in another country where there's no vocational training, where there's nothing like this yet. So before implementing it, I will always look at these 4 categories or these 4 parameters that need to be there in order to have a successful project. Number 1 is you need companies who are ready to invest proactively. If there's not enough demand by the industry to train young talent, if they are satisfied with whatever the job market is giving them, then such a project will never be successful. In 1974, when DHBW was founded, it was not an idea by the Ministry of Education. It was not an idea by higher education institutions. It was an idea of key companies that approached the Ministry of Education and said, okay, what we have on secondary level with vocational training, we need something to train even better qualified students. And so let's work on implementing something that is like vocational training, but which is on tertiary level. And that's how they came up with what we have at DHBW today. So you need companies that want to train students who believe in the idea that training them makes or creates better employees, that this is a cheaper way of creating highly skilled employees than if they just try to get them on the labor market. Number 2, you do need authorities that accredit and certify this model so that students will be getting a degree which is at the same level as traditional university degrees. And number 3, very importantly, sometimes in some countries, in some institutions, you will encounter academics who think, well, people at the industry, they don't know anything because they don't have a PhD degree, because they haven't studied as much, and who are not really willing to work together with the industry. But you need those people. You need academics who get over this and think, okay, there's some valuable experience that you do on the job that might be even more suitable for these degrees or for these study programs than whatever's written in the textbook. And academics who acknowledge that practical experience, real world experience is a key to producing graduates which are employable on the job market. And you need, number 4, you need a culture, a higher education culture with a focus on employability. Because as you might encounter in your education institutions, all ranking institutions, all reputation comes from research citations and likewise. So there needs to be a focus on teaching and a focus on employability. If we then have all these 4 things in place, with number 1, we can make sure that such a degree is relevant. With number 2, we can make sure it's equivalent to traditional degrees. With number 3, we make sure that practical phases are an integrated part of the curriculum. And with number 4, we make sure that it's demand driven. And these are some keywords that you should always keep in mind when discussing cooperative higher education programs and the implementation of these. If it's not demand driven, it will never work because if it's implemented just by the higher education institutions, just by the Ministry of Education, but there's no demand for it, there's no industry pushing it, supporting it, it's not going to work. The graduates will not be suitable for the industry. The industry will soon notice that there's no break-even points in their investment, and it's just going to fail. It's not going to be sustainable, and all the work that we've put in is not going to pay off. So make sure that these four categories are in place if we want to implement such a program in another country. And I'll get to my last slide, which is only half a slide more. You might need a fifth category, that's some expertise in how to implement it, how to structure it, how to make use of some of the things that went good in Germany and some of the things that might not have been so good. So in order to get some know-how for implementation, you can always come to us and engage us into a project like this. We do this, I said it's a company, so we do this not for free, but for money. But it might be money well invested if you want to save on your own costs in terms of wasted resources or wasted time and efforts. So with this, thank you very much for allowing me to present this. And I hope that this will be a starting point for valuable discussions for today. Thank you very much.